One of the true indicators of these troubled economic times is the decline in unionism in the United States. Not only have the laborers in the automobile industry had to make concessions, there's also been a decline in the power of collective bargaining within the specialized atmosphere of orchestral musicians. I'm James Baker, and I recently had several final discussions with my horn teacher and mentor, Wayne Barrington. Although he was literally on his deathbed, the conversations which most interested him were to do with music and orchestra politics. It's not surprising, for he came of age at a pivotal time in the evolution of the American Federation of Musicians. Years ago, I asked Mr. Barrington when he first picked up a union card.
That would have been 1946. I went down to St. Botolph Street, where the union was, and they looked kind of embarrassed. They didn't know quite what to do with me. I wasn't a jazzer and all that sort of stuff, so I said, well, play a B-flat scale. So I played B-flat scale. Okay, that's fine. It'll be $30 or whatever the fee was. That's the way you got in the union.
Soon afterwards, Barrington headed for his first orchestral job, playing in the horn section of the San Antonio Symphony under Max Reiter. Although the rungs of the ladder were not always evenly spaced, Barrington's career then took him to the Pittsburgh Symphony and finally to the big prize of the Chicago Symphony Orchestra. Here he truly came of age as a musician and, as it turns out, as a union activist.
I was just a player until 1957. The union people showed up at Orchestra Hall, which had never been done. I don't think they probably had to ask directions how to get in. In any case, they presented us with a situation in Ravinia, which was the summertime. It was a different contract and all that. And Ravinia was having financial troubles, and they had to reduce salaries. Well, this went over like, lead is not heavy enough. Gold is heavier than lead bricks. I was very unhappy. Not the kind of news we wanted to hear. The first time we meet with the union, they come over and ask us to reduce our salaries. And that really produced a bad taste. So this negotiated back and forth, and there was nothing much to do. We were faced with no choice, and that's what we accepted. But then we started having meetings. And gradually, I was just sort of watching all this go on, but as I could see things going, I had certain thoughts, and I vocalized them. I kind of had my say now and then.
But this was the Chicago Symphony. What were the needs of this world-class group of musicians?
There were needs which the orchestra needed a lot more than just me. I was playing third horn, so I had an overscale price. So a number of the players would come up to me and say, well, what's your big deal? Why are you interested in this? I says, well, you'd like a health plan. How do I get a health plan without your getting a health plan? And it'd be nice to have a vacation, maybe even someday paid. I can't get it all by myself. So there are things we have to do together. I saw some string players over there in the first violin section who had been there 28 years, and they had never been heard because they played well. And no salary other than the basic scale, which was pretty low, was just barely above what was the minimum wage at the time. So that is the motivation which got me into unionism, not because I like politics. It's when things were settled, it was a relief to have to follow the union.
Over time, the Chicago Symphony musicians became more organized, eventually forcing a meeting with James "Little Caesar" Petrillo, the head of both the national office of the American Federation of Musicians and also the iron-fisted boss of Chicago's Local 10.
I was on the committee at the time, which actually was going up to meet him in his office, and with some important issues about relating the union to the orchestra and so on. He was famous for taking his little pinky finger and sticking it out and shaking hands. He even did that with President Truman. I was anticipating having to confront what to do with this when we went in his office. I had already made up my mind I was not going to do it. I was really becoming a bullish attitude at that point. I was not going to do it. So we walked in his room. There was 5 of us. I could tell right off how shrewd this man was in recognizing the nature of people and their emotional mood. Because he said, well, you look like clean guys. Shook hands in a normal way. And I'm sure that was part of his success and skill, his extremely acute sense of people. And that's the way he'd negotiate.
One chapter of the birth of unionism in the American Symphony Orchestra through the words of one who was participant and a witness, Wayne Barrington. Mr. Barrington passed away on July 23, 2011. May he rest in peace. For KPAC and Performance Today, I'm James Baker.